Welcome to episode 3 of Pounds to Kilos. My name is Ed Morrison. Thank you so much for joining us, whether it be the first episode you're tuning in or you are a repeat listener from the first 2 episodes. I'm going to discuss the Asian side of things in this particular episode. We'll have a look at the national champs. Now remember, the national champs from any country with a registered affiliate are going to the CrossFit Games, or they're invited to go, I should say. So we're going to see some debutantes, and I, for one, if I can have just a little bit of a personal opinion as opposed to being the reporter here, I'm psyched to see people from these nations at the CrossFit Games. I think that's what our sport is all about, and the original intent of the Games, if you will, was a coming together of the community, and that's what this year's Games will be, as well as obviously being able to admire the elites of our sport. So why don't we just touch base with all the national champions from the Asian region. And when I say Asia, I'm talking about those countries that would be having people normally represent at the Pacific regionals from yesteryear. So it was a weird old region, the Pacific region. It involved parts of Russia and parts of the subcontinent. But let's jump into the nations that we're going to look at today. So we're going to start with the men, in fact. On the men's side of things, qualifying from Indonesia was Mahendra Adatirta, and he came first in 19.2 and 3 and 19.5 and was second and third in other workouts, so he was quite dominant in Indonesia. If we move on to Malaysia, we've got Jonathan Ooi, who also will be going to the CrossFit Games. From Korea, Jimu Sun. Now, Jimu Sun is a previous regionals competitor. He just pipped Sanjay Han, who we've seen at regionals as well before. From China, we have Ant Haynes. Excellent to see Ant going to the CrossFit Games. Ant, of course, has been at regionals several times before. He lives in Hong Kong, has done so for many a year, and looking forward to seeing Ant at the Games. Now from the Philippines, we've got Kawika Henderson. And from Thailand, we have Matt Cass. And representing Singapore is Ian Wee. Now also representing from Japan will be Shingo Morumasa. And representing from Cambodia will be Kobe Kai. Now, when it comes to representing from Papua New Guinea, Ashland Chu has finished in first place, but unfortunately he didn't complete all the workouts. So I don't believe, if you follow the CrossFit Games rulebook, that he will be going, because it does state that they need to complete all the workouts. If you're wondering how he managed to win without doing all the workouts, there was only a few people competing from Papua New Guinea, and they also didn't do the workouts. So he took equal second place points by not doing the workouts in a few of them. So I don't think we'll see him at the CrossFit Games, but isn't it cool that on a leaderboard there's only 2 or 3 people from a nation competing, but they still get the opportunity to represent their country at the CrossFit Games. Let's move across to the women's qualifications from the CrossFit Games through Asia, through being a national champ. And from Indonesia, we've got Citra Ramania. Then we move on to Malaysia, Amira Oya. From Korea, Heidi Choi. From China, Seju Hong. From Philippines, Kristen Lim. From Thailand, Urasha Tiravanvitsan. From Singapore, Landy Pulban Eng. From Japan, Akiko Kamatani. From Cambodia, Srey Maupo. And from Papua New Guinea, Pam. Now, I guess the question is, of these athletes that we've named, can any of them make an impact at the CrossFit Games in 2019? And I'm going to suggest that there's 2 names that certainly can. The male qualifier from China is Ant Haynes. He's been super consistent at regionals level over a very long period of time. If you have a look at his results from regionals, he's been attending since 2014, where he actually came 10th. He slipped back a bit in 2015 to 28th, and then since then he's been super consistent, 17th, 16th and 18th in 2016, 17 and 18 respectively. So I think Ant is ready to go to the CrossFit Games, and I think depending on where the cuts are made at the Games, we'll talk about that in a later episode, I think we could see Ant go deep into the CrossFit Games and be competitive for his debut season there. On the women's side of things, I believe that the qualifier from Thailand, Urasha Tiravanvitsan, can also be super competitive. Now, I say this because she's had some experience on the big stage. She's been to regionals a number of years, and while she's never been able to really make an impact at regionals, just simply being out on that floor will give you some sort of exposure to what the games will be like. So Arasha's now been to regionals 4 times. Her best finish was 28th in a team in 2015. Her best individual finish was 33rd, or 32nd I should say, in 2017. All right, folks, today was a quick one. I hope you enjoyed the wrap up of the Asian competition. Get behind these athletes. What I've been really proud of as an Australian in the last few years when we're at the Pacific Regional is that we cheer for these athletes from these countries as loud as we cheer for the athletes that are from Australia and New Zealand. We bring them in as part of our own of this Pacific region. I think even though regionals is gone, we should do the same as we support them through both the games and sanctional competitions. If they're at the Down Under Championships in May, I reckon we get behind these athletes. Congratulations to all those national champs which have the opportunity to go to the CrossFit Games. I'd like to see somebody from an Asian nation make some waves this year. All right, in the meantime, we'll see you next week. Keep converting those pounds to kilos.